Good evening. This is Maestro Cortello with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today, we have a 2v2 on Medean Cliff Mines. Our first player is a very, very sick toilet, also known as Toilailee, playing as the Orc Mekboy. This is a teleporting ranged hero who I can't get a good look at. He's got some support abilities, like a super tough beam, battery pack. He's also just good for being shooty and teleporting. His teammate is Codex, playing as the Plague Champion. This is a Chaos ranged hero to start out. Later on he can upgrade to melee weapons, and he can also support with heals, repairs, and he can build turrets. On the other team, we have Crewfinity, who is not being targeted properly, playing as the Grey Knight Bro Captain. This is a tanky melee hero in Terminator armor, so he cannot be knocked down or suppressed. Doesn't have much early disruption, but just a lot of early tankiness, and his warriors give him some more tankiness. Also got some interesting spells in his tier 2 warriors. Finally, we have Dawn of War 2 caster extraordinaire, Red Rupee, playing as the Techmarine. This is a Space Marine ranged hero with a gun for every occasion. He can repair, build relay beacons, and turrets. Alright then, so this is now the third iteration of the latest patch. Originally released as 2.4, this is now the second hotfix, 2.4.2, with some changes. So it's a little surprising, and in some ways not. I don't recall the last time they had to release a second hotfix update to a major patch. But, you know, as I've said, like in a few other replays, the balance has, from what I've been told, not really been quite perfect with a lot of the ambitious changes that they made. And I guess they just wanted to keep making some adjustments. In particular, Grey Knights are basically considered a little overpowered at the moment. And some of the changes in the most recent update have been an attempt to address them, specifically with some of the units that have been considered to be a little more problematic. The Inquisitorial Operatives, which Crewfinity is buying right now, they have had their cost increased, their range decreased, and they need to purchase the fallback plan upgrade to use the stun bomb now. Paladins have also been changed in some ways, and all some slight nerfs, and including their retreat ability, which it functions as a retreat, but it's its own special ability that actually has a cooldown, so you can't retreat every time with Paladins, and that cooldown has actually been increased from, I believe, 3 minutes to 5 minutes. I still don't entirely agree with it, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. I honestly really haven't been playing that much lately, so I'm not in the best position to say myself what I think the balance is, but I usually just listen to what the community is saying and kind of report that. Anyway, I think the strike squads right here, not really. Oh, the strikes! I see what they're trying to do. They really, wow! Oh, I thought that squad of sluggers was going to get out of there alive. I was going to say that I felt the strike squad should switch targets and really go for the shooter boys, because they would really dominate the shooter boys while taking less damage than they would if they were in range. But I see that he was going for that squad wipe, and that turned out to be the right choice from Crewfinity, because he did just barely manage to wipe that squad. Storm Boys now out for Toilailee. Alright, so meanwhile on the other side right here, we have a double Chaos Space Marine build from Codex. So he's going for a rather shooty build. He's got his Plague Champion, although his Plague Champion has already switched to the Bile Spewer. And the Bile Spewer is pretty strong for some purposes. Ooh, that's going to be a dead Plague Champion. It should be. But could those be dead scouts? That's a super close call, but I think there was a line of sight blocker right here preventing the wipe on the scouts. So that should actually be an easy revive for Toilailee, though, especially with that teleporting Mekboy. And then he'll just level that Mekboy to 2, to level 2. Storm Boys right here need to be careful. Are we going to see a battery pack heal? Because he does have the battery pack. And there we go with the heal on the Storm Boys. And that has always been like a pretty common upgrade with the synergy between the battery pack upgrade as well as the Storm Boys, and that generally makes the Storm Boys a more desirable purchase with the Mekboy than with other heroes. This Techmarine a little out of place right here. If he doesn't retreat, he's going to lose the Techmarine. He might lose the Techmarine anyway, especially with the Heretics. Doom Blast on retreat, might not need it, but he uses it anyway. So we're seeing heroes go down. Inquisitorial Operatives suppressed. They have the fallback plan upgrade now. And they have been using their stun bomb. Meanwhile, both heroes are down here. Oh, not anymore. Codex did buy back his Plague Champion, which more or less makes sense. That is a difficult place to get a revive, and of course, oh wait a minute, was it? Actually, no. Yeah, I think he bought it back, and I think he shouldn't have actually. Never mind. I was mistaking things again. Scouts, Red Rupee playing a dangerous game with those scouts. He's losing quite a few scout models. Those scout models are not too cheap to reinforce. 35 requisition apiece. Here's the Granite Parade. We've only got the single Inquisitorial Operatives, and Inquisitorial Operatives are one of the units that have been considered a little too strong, and especially they were often bought in pairs in the last patch, and that was pretty powerful, and to be honest, it probably still is powerful. The Inquisitorial Operatives, as far as I know, their damage has not been nerfed at all. Just their range. Their range has gotten a very slight range reduction. But Inquisitorial Operatives should still be pretty powerful in the way they work, where they have decent damage, and they can come out of infiltration and just like surprise you with that. And they're still a pretty cheap squad, even though they had a price increase. And while we're taking a look at things right here, we still got that Acolyte Leader, which, unfortunately with the way things work on this map, differences in elevation make it difficult to zoom in on different things, it's kind of annoying. Because sometimes I want to get a good close-up shot, and for whatever reason I can't. So VP's pretty close at the moment, 380, 403. And, you know, I usually like to start out some of these casts by talking about the players. And we've got Toilailee. Toilailee is, of course, one of the best players in the game. He's definitely won a few monthly Rumble tournaments. Not every single one of them, so he's not undefeatable, but he is one of the best players in the game. Codex, lesser known, but also an extremely, extremely good player. And one of the most well-spoken Dawn of War 2 players, so he's often brought in for commentary, to have some high-level commentary, you know, like... Sometimes he'll be brought on for the monthly Rumble tournaments, along with Rupee or myself, and although Rupee and I understand the game, Codex is quite a better player, and he's probably, well, one of the most well-spoken high-level players around. And one of the most high-level, well-spoken players around. Meanwhile, Crewfinity, well, he's been around for a while now. There was a point when I would have called him New Blood, but I guess not so much anymore. And of course, Red Rupee is our caster friend. And I feel like Red Rupee hasn't been playing that much lately, so it's probably hard for him to stay in practice, but I think very lately he's been playing more than me, which is actually a little bit surprising, but, you know, whatever. Havoc's coming back out. That's going to force the Bro Captain to go back. He's only at less than half health. No upgrades on this Brother Captain, which, you know, I don't entirely disagree with. At some point he will want some upgrades, but usually, at least in Tier 1, usually you might want to get like 1 or 2 upgrades to your hero. And of course these are all, I mean, if we look at some of the heroes, Toilailee and Codex, they all just have 1 upgrade on their hero. Usually you don't want to invest too heavily in your hero in Tier 1, because you want to make sure you get enough squads to have field presence, and you want to make sure you get to Tier 2 in a reasonable amount of time and put out a Tier 2 unit. So usually you don't want to fully kit out your hero until like maybe mid-Tier 2. If even that. I mean, of course, it's just based on what you need, what you want. don't just buy upgrades just for the sake of getting upgrades. Stun Bomb goes in on the Shooter Boys, but not really a whole lot of support there to really make much out of that. So Crewfinity and Red Rupee actually with the VP lead. Here are some attacks trying to bash generators. I wonder, they should be able to finish off this generator before, yeah, they finish off that generator before the Heretics get in range. That's a pretty nice win. Codex could potentially Doom Blast. A Doom Blast there might have taken a model, and I think it would be worth it. He would be spending one Heretic model to hopefully get one attack model, and I think it would be worth it to at least try it. Alright, and the Rhino is I believe the Rhino has been changed so that the las cannon does not really hit infantry anymore, so it's much more an exclusively anti-vehicle upgrade. Although it still does have the Storm Bolter on top, but this also makes the Heavy Bolter Rhino that much more powerful against infantry. Ooh, did get some knockdown on the Storm Boys. Storm Boys are bleeding immensely, and Brother Captain's still with no upgrades, level 3. So this Rhino's going to need some repairs. Ooh, these Shooter Boys way out of position. I mean, they could theoretically do something about that Plasma Cannon Devastator, but there was just too much support right there. Now, although I don't... Oh, we actually have seen it. So there was at one point when the Mekboy did use the Mordaka Global, and the Mordaka Global is something that has been reworked. Oh, what a nice flank by this Blood Crusher. The Mordaka Global no longer causes knockdown. Before, you could use Mordaka on a targeted squad and it would actually cause knockdown with its ranged attacks. It will no longer do that anymore. I believe it will do something just like something with either decrease weapon cooldown or increase reload speed. Basically something to make just Mordaka, well, give you Mordaka, make it more powerful. But the knockdown has pretty much been removed, and that's probably a good idea. Mordaka has long been considered actually a pretty overpowered global, where you can just suddenly start causing knockback with your ranged attack of all things. Alright, this Rhino is dead. I'm not sure what happened in that engagement, but, well, crazy stuff are happening. However, the Storm Boys in a huge amount of trouble. Storm Boys down to just one model and their knob. They might even lose that last regular model, but they get out of there alive. That's going to be a lot of reinforcing and a lot of requisition as well as power to spend for the Sick Toilet. Sick Toilet, though, still has the Death Dread in here, and he might be able to burn down a few generators too. It doesn't look like Crewfinity lost his main AV, which was the las cannon Rhino. However, he is getting a Grey Knight Dreadnought. And the Grey Knight Dreadnought right now actually does no AV range damage, but it will be able to do AV in melee. And it would definitely win against the Death Dread. So that's why we see the Death Dread stomping on out of there, using its charge to make sure it gets out of range, because otherwise they have the same speed. Meanwhile, over here we do have this Plague Champion still probably just burning down a lot of generators with the with that Bile Spewer. And the Bile Spewer is potentially very powerful because it's more powerful than other flamer weapons. The Plague Champion is also harder to force off because of the fact that he's a single entity. You know, it's not like you have a squad of guardsmen where they're quickly going to start losing models. Even a tac squad is going to lose models at some point, and faster than you could force a Plague Champion off. So sometimes he can just take like whatever ranged fire he's getting hit by while burning down generators and just burn them down anyway. So a lot of stuff going on right now. We do have some Psy Cannon Purgations, but we also have a Mekboy going down, Storm Boys going in. The Grey Knight Dreadnought is lacking any kind of... There's not really any really powerful counters to the Dreadnought. It's even now getting the Dreadnought Claw. That'll make it really, really effective against the Storm Boys, and as well as the Death Dread, because it will definitely be winning quite handily against them. Yeah, the Storm Boys are in a huge amount of trouble. Storm Boys just might go down. It's a really close call, but he doesn't quite get it. And Grey Knight Dreadnought right now will be winning handily against the Depth Dread. Ooh, wow. He knocks over the Play Champion with the Maelstrom ability to prevent him from reviving the Mekboy. So good denial right there. Meanwhile, the Bro Captain, wow, he's down way over there. Purgation, yeah, so that was a late Purgation purchase to get a Psy Cannon purely as AV, which is interesting. I would think more in terms of a Vindicare Assassin, but you know what? I haven't been playing lately. Crewfinity has actually been playing Grey Knights a lot, so, you know, he might know better. But the Vindicare Assassin is still definitely a good choice. I think the Vindicare Assassin maybe a little more versatile. Or not. I could actually, if anything, it's more specialized. Man, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Corn Marines from Codex. I want to take a look at these Corn Marines. They look interesting. They're getting knocked down. Something about this color scheme with the skulls on the side looks really good with these Corn Marines. Corn Marines. Oh, Corn Marines lost their Aspiring Champion. That's pretty unfortunate for them. Meanwhile, stuff is happening over here. We've got some suppression. We also have a Tzeentch Dreadnought, very interestingly. Tzeentch Dreadnought, of course, a lot of ranged AV damage. And the Tzeentch Dreadnought has actually been changed recently to, I think, make it a bit less effective against infantry. Since the Tzeentch Dreadnought in the past has been very powerful, in part because it's one of the most powerful AV sources, certainly in Tier 2 and possibly in the game. And it was also extremely good against infantry as well with that very same weapon. So yeah, it doesn't appear to be hitting infantry very reliably at the moment. Wow, a lot of missiles going in. We had some tank buster barrages. Here is a Noxious Cloud going in right on top of all those Inquisitorial Stormtroopers. Some slow reactions from Crewfinity, really not reacting well enough at all. And we might have the Chaos Space Marines. Let's see if they can even finish off this Inquisitorial, the Warrior Acolyte, but they don't. Wow, Chaos Space Marines being very brazen. They get knocked down, and that's going to save the Strike Squad a little bit. And that engagement went really poorly for Crewfinity. I don't think, you know, I'm guessing he didn't. Well, at some point he had to have noticed the Noxious Cloud, but I don't think he noticed it soon enough. Like, that indicator is pretty subtle, and if you're in the middle of a game, you might miss it. Like, obviously, I'm not playing. I'm looking very closely, and I could see it pretty easily. Ooh, this Dreadnought is pretty much dead. Yeah, it doesn't have a chance. As long as the Predator continues to target the Dreadnought, it will take it out. Just needs one more shot and that should be it. Yep, there we go. I really just had no chance. They were trying to repair it with both the Mekboy and the Plague Champion, but it just wasn't enough because there was a Predator chasing it and it could not get out of there quickly enough. And that is one of the things that makes the Predator so powerful. And the Predator, as well as most tanks, except for maybe the Leman Russ, but I'm even not sure, tanks have had their speed increased, and I'm honestly not sure why. They previously had 6.5 speed, now they have 7.25 speed. And again, I'm not sure why. I didn't really feel like tanks needed a buff. I already felt that they were very strong. Ooh, brazen play with the Mekboy, attempting to finish off that Predator, loses the Mekboy for his troubles instead. That is not good for Toilailee. Red Rupee sticking out his tongue at him. But I mean, that was a very bold play, and it did not pay off. But the Predator is just in many ways at the top of the food chain as far as vehicles are concerned, aside from maybe like a Land Raider Phobos. Since it does powerful anti-vehicle damage. With its speed, it can chase down most other fleeing vehicles, as well as flee away itself when presented with some kind of anti-vehicle. And that's why I like to call it the Apex Predator. Although this does also apply to other tanks, but more so to the Predator since you have that las cannon option, making it extremely powerful as AV, whereas something like, say, the looted tank, although it does have the same properties and principles apply, it just doesn't do anywhere near as much damage as a Predator. This is the time, though, for the Predator to start moving back. And Predators, or really all tanks, should pretty much always be mobile. Keep them you always want to keep them just about as far back as they can be while really still firing all of their guns. And as soon as you start getting hit by some kind of AV, you need to move back. Red Rupee trying to hold the line, but some of the tank busters have gotten around the Devastator firing arc. Oh no, Red Rupee loses the Devastators. He will most likely lose this Predator as well. Yeah, just kept it way too far forward. If anything, should have maybe moved back this way, or should have just started that moving down much earlier. And I think he got a little doubled there. Ooh. So blue team really, really answering back. Oh, stick bombs going in. Brutal stick bombs. But still doesn't manage to take a tac model. This is a level 3 tac squad. Meanwhile, Crewfinity is starting to get some Grey Knight Terminators. Rupee getting a new Predator. And what's going to happen right now? We've got double tank busters, stick bombs, Toilailee with both the long-range anti-infantry artillery as well as a lot of AV damage. And the tank busters are an interesting unit. They've often been lamented in the history of Dawn of War 2, even though they're probably in a pretty good spot. They certainly have some weaknesses in that they're not a very tough unit. They lose their models relatively easily for an AV unit, and they usually have to put themselves at a bit more risk. But they are mobile. They actually do a pretty decent amount of damage, and they're very, very cheap. Anyway, Grey Knight Terminators in right here. Need to really respect these Terminators. Upgrading to Libra Demonica, but the Terminator's getting overwhelmed. And the red team right now is really just finding themselves in situations where they're committing like one unit and having to fight against the entire blue team army. That's a big part of what's not going very well for them. Yeah, I mean, we've got the tax right here. Oh, but here is the Predator again. We do have Codex yeah, he's actually buying some regular Plague Marines. I was gonna say, I feel like Codex could use some kind of snaring AV, since snaring AV is just very, very powerful, and you really need that to take on some of the game's most powerful vehicles, and that includes something like a Predator. Which again, I don't entirely understand why it got that speed buff, but it just did, and that's how it's going to be. Rupee not reacting. He is going to lose his Devastator Marines if he does not react. He's getting mauled anyway. He's going to lose the Devastator Marines anyway. There's just a lot of melee damage between Storm Boys, Khorne Chaos Space Marines, level 4 Khorne Chaos Space Marines. So we're seeing some pretty nice use of Khorne Chaos Space Marines, as much as they are often another lamented unit for their relative uselessness. They are actually pretty powerful. It's just hard to find a place for them when you also need range damage, and the Khorne upgrade is exclusive to Chaos's generally most useful ranged unit. Meanwhile, we've got some Terminators out on the field, Brigation shooting at range. We're going to open fire on those Shooter Boys. And there is also that Mordaka roll, but the Shooter Boys are getting disrupted. Sick Toilet actually with a rather large build. He's gotten another unit that we can't even see in the unit panel. I actually find it kind of funny that we have a unit panel that can't fit as many units as you can actually get. I mean, of course, you often don't get that many units. It's pretty rare, but it's still not unheard of. It does happen. Ooh, some lack of reactions from Toilet, unless he was just giving up that unit. I don't know. Hard to tell. Oh no! That's super bad for the Weird Boy. Weird Boy is in a lot of trouble. He does not want to get hit by much more melee from those Grey Knight Terminators. Terminators going for the kill. They're going to get it. If that's... Oh, alright, they do get it. Yeah, wow, that's absolutely terrible for Toilailee, losing that spot of God, I can't even speak. That Weird Boy so easily. And these Terminators at some point, are we going to see them retreat, or are we just going to see them die? So of course the ability is called Withdraw, and I don't know why that would be an of course thing, but it looks like Withdrawal must be on cooldown. And again, in the current version, the withdraw ability, and that is the Terminator Retreat, has a 5-minute cooldown. 5 minute. Right? It says 300 seconds. 300 seconds is 5 minutes. So, Grand Knight Terminator going down. So, ooh, and we're even going to see a sync kill. Wow, the knob is bigger than the Terminator. So, yeah, I mean, even though Terminators can retreat, or Grey Knight Terminators, they can't do it that often. So, still need to be careful not to overextend them. And Toilet saying can't retreat. Yeah, timer is super long now, so he's just saying the cooldown, it was basically on cooldown. We've got some double Plague Marines. Plague Marines, not the most powerful of AV in terms of damage, but that snaring effect is going to be pretty nice, especially if they're both being, if the Plague Marines can kite the Venerable Dreadnought. The Venerable Dreadnought should not be able to really get in range of the Plague Marines without some kind of additional support. However, the Venerable Dreadnought is also not going to die to those double Plague Marines at the moment. It did have its charge in reserve so that it could dash out of there. It's also being repaired by the Blessing of the Omnissiah, which has always been a very, very powerful role, or at least for as long as I've been playing. Just repairs all of your vehicles that are out on the field over time, even if you don't have any. Actually, it was, because the Predator was also being repaired. And it even repairs your allies' vehicles. Ooh, but here is the flank from the Toilet. Toilet is losing some of his units. He's lost the Stick Bomb, has lost the Weird Boy, still has the double Tank Busters, though. And right now, there are going to be some Dread Busters, so the Dreadnought now is going to go down, has no chance, just overwhelming AV damage. VP's 23 to 81. Sick Toilet and Codex with the double cap. And the Dreadnought finally goes down. Unkillable Plague things. There's a Plague Champion, 2 squads of Plague Marines, as well as the Chosen Plague Marines. And they're all just quite tough, and I think that's what he's... Yeah. Alright. Some Tank Buster barrages going in on the Purgations just to disrupt them. Meanwhile, we've got some new Grey Knight Terminators to replace the last one. Wow, what is going on? This Strike Squad is in a huge amount of trouble. Well, so are these Shooter Boys, but I think they'll all make it out of there alive. You know, this tank is... No! Alright, the blue team has gotten, like, completely... They've invested heavily in overwhelming anti-vehicle, so it's really making it hard for the blue team, for the red team rather, to use vehicles. We have an attempted orbital by, well, you know, I don't know, and it unfortunately didn't hit much. We got the Terminators going in for the decap. They've really got to watch out, though. There's plenty of damage to deal with these Terminators. Terminators could be pretty screwed. Can they retreat? Because if they can't retreat, they're pretty much dead. They got stunned, and now they're being swamped. Oh my, they are just done. And that's probably going to be the win in favor of the Toilet and Codex. I think he teleported out of there and it died anyway. Zombie Grey Knight Terminator. Right here. Anyway. Ooh, but we got other stuff going on. We've got a back cap by some scouts, no cap game, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop this double cap that's happening right now. Crewfinity has just lost a few too many things. Red Rupee has also lost plenty of things. So we're going to see the natural for the red team be captured, a double cap for the blue team. 2-1, but I don't think the red team's going to be able to get this back soon enough. Yeah, no way. We even have a Death Dread with no Abernas at all. Yeah, that's going to be it. GG. Alright. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.